Hi everyone, Mahar Haddad here. In this video, I would like to show you about the Telnet on Cisco router. Of course, you think that this topic is very easy, but I would like to show you many things inside the Telnet, what you can do on the Cisco router. Now, what is Telnet? Telnet is a tool that allows us to connect to a device remotely. So say, for example, you're sitting at home and you want to connect to the router of your office, which is in your office, then you can connect to it via Telnet. The bad thing about Telnet, it is sending everything as clear text. So if you have anyone which is in the middle, like man in the middle, capturing your traffic, then he can see all the comments and everything that you are sending from your computer to Telnet to the router. So that's one of the drawbacks that is on Telnet. Now, how to configure Telnet on the Cisco router, how to make it a bit more secure and to not allow anyone to connect to Telnet, that's something I'm going to show you in this lecture. So my scenario is straightforward. I do have here a Cisco router, router 1 connected to router 2 on the gigabit interface 0/0. So that's the only thing I have. So one router gigabit 0/0, second router gigabit 0/0, and they are connected to each other. They do not have any configuration at this moment. So we do have blank configuration on the two routers. So what I want to do, I want to allow this router 2, to connect Telnet to router 1. So that means we have to put IP addresses on these interfaces to be on the same range. They have to be able to reach each other. And then I have to configure Telnet on router 1. Then after I configure Telnet, we are going to connect Telnet from router 2 to router 1 to see if it's working. And then after that, I'm going to do more things to show you what you can do on Telnet. So let's start directly and working on router 1. So we are on router 1. We go to the configure terminal to the interface gigabit 0/0 to put an IP address. I will put the address 192.168.1.2.1/24. We cannot say /24. Oh, this is a comment that you can do it on some other devices, but on Cisco, not yet. At least on the iOS version that I have now. So we put the subnet mask down and we say no shutdown. Okay, so this is done from this router. So we go to router 2 and we put also the IP address. So over here we have to go to the interface gigabit 0/0, IP address 192.168.1.2.2, 255.255.255.0. No shutdown. And we wait a little bit until this is up. Now let's do the ping to see if we can see router 1. Do ping 192.168.1.2.1. So I use do when I'm inside the interface level over here. I just do say do over here, then the ping can work. So we can see if we have the ping and it is working. Now let's enable Telnet on router 1. So this is router 1. I'll go one level back, and to enable Telnet, you have to say line VTY. So you have different lines depending on each of the routers. Like this router has maximum 15 lines. So that means he can accept 15 Telnet to this router. It can go up to 900 lines, depending on the router, how big it is. So line VTY 0 to 15. And now I have to say the password. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm just putting a simple password. Do not use this password yourself, but because it's a lab, I'm just using a simple password. So password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then here we have to say login. So by doing that, I have enabled Telnet. Let's go to router 2 and check if we can do the Telnet. So Telnet to the IP 192.168.1.2.1. Here we go. We put the password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm inside router 1. Very good. So Telnet, it is working. But yeah, I want now to show you some more things that you can do on Telnet. If you go back to here, and we have written over here the login. So once you say login, then it will take the password that you have put over here, right? So this is the password that you mentioned, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But say that you want to create an account for people who won't have to or who can Telnet to the router, and not just putting a password, and anyone who has this password can do Telnet. So you have to create accounts. So how to do that? Let me show you. First, we have to create an account. How to create an account? We just use the account on the local database of the Cisco IOS. I will say username. I will make the username, for example, Maher. And then I will give it, if we make question mark here, we have here the privilege. So privilege means what privilege we want to give. So say that it is an admin account, I will give him the highest privilege so he can do whatever he wants on the router. The highest privilege on the Cisco, it is privilege 15. So you see, so Maher privilege 15. And then now I will say the password, it is Haddad. So the username, anyone who has to connect to the Telnet, he has to put Maher and password Haddad. And then I will say enter. Now, once I create the username and the password, if we go back to router 2 and we do the Telnet again, then it's still asking for the password only and not username and password. And you can see I put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then I can do the Telnet. So I need to go back to router 1 and have to say to router 1 that the Telnet has to take the database, which is a local database, which I only have now, the username Maher and password Haddad. All right, so how to do that? We have to go to the line VTY again, 0 to 15. And here I have to say login, but not only login like I said before, now I have to use the local. So that means check the local database that is on the Cisco router. So the local database means check anyone who's doing Telnet, check if he has the username Maher and the password Haddad, then if yes, then allow him to connect to Telnet. Let's try again now. So we do Telnet, and here we go. You see, now it's, before it used to ask only for the password, now it's asking for username Maher, password Haddad. And here we go. I'm inside router 1. You see how beautiful it is to use the local database. Now, I said to you before that this router or the Telnet, it is clear text. And for this reason, I just want to show you how, if you put username and password, how the username and password, if anyone is sitting in the middle, he can see them. Let's do an experiment. We go to the GNS3. And over here, I will just make start capture. All right, so Wireshark is now enabled, so it's capturing. If we go inside Wireshark, then we can see it has started capturing. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go to router 2 again to do the Telnet. So we repeat the command Telnet, and then the username, it is Maher, password Haddad. So I did the Telnet. Now I'll go to the Wireshark. Before I show you what we need to do, let me just tell you here, first let's stop, and just let me show you that this is the Telnet. You can see it is working on the port 23. So this is something you have to know, that port 23 is the port for Telnet. And as I said, it is clear text. Now, how can we know it is a clear text, and how can we see if the password has been seen and username? We can go to analyze, and we go to follow and the TCP stream. Here we go. Look, guys, can you imagine? So the username has shown up. So this is Maher and this is Haddad. So the password is shown up. And so why you see here one red, one blue, one red, one blue. Sorry if the picture is a little bit small for you. So you see that because, let me just make it bigger so you can see it better. So one red, one blue, one red, because this is the server and the client. So that means this is the server is replying and this is the client is sending. So that's something you can see it over here. So it is MAHER and the password is Haddad. You can see it's clear that the password is being seen on the Telnet. That's why I highly advise you never use Telnet, but you rather use SSH. I'm gonna do a video later to show you how you can configure SSH on the Cisco router, because SSH is encrypted, Telnet is clear text. Very good. Let's close the Wireshark now. Now, another thing that I want to show you also on router 1 while we are here, we have something called transport input. So on the line that you have, the 15 line, you can say if you want people to use it for Telnet or for SSH or for something else. If you do it like question mark, you can see by default it is having transport input all. So by default it is a command already there, and it is allowing everything to be whether SSH or Telnet or whatever. This is PAD or V120, that is for SDN. So mostly it's the SSH and the Telnet. Now, if I say transport input, for example, SSH, that means those lines are only used for SSH and not for Telnet. Look what's going to happen. If I go back to the router over here, let's go to router 2. So if I repeat the Telnet, look, it says, no, you cannot do Telnet. Why? Because I said on router 1 that only SSH can connect to me and not Telnet. So what you can do, you can repeat this comment and say, for example, Telnet at the end. So it means the SSH and Telnet can do. Of course, we didn't yet configure SSH, but just it's a joke to show you how this can happen. So now if I repeat the comment, here we go. It's possible because I added the Telnet, so I can connect to router 1. Very good. Now, the last thing that I want to show you in this lab is that in case, for example, you want to allow one IP to connect to Telnet. You don't want that anyone from any IP can connect to Telnet. For example, we know now that the IP 192.168.12.2, which is the router 2, is the one connecting Telnet to me, right? And that is something we can see it here. That is the IP. I put it at the beginning of this lab, that this router 192.168.12.2 is able to connect because we didn't mention which IP can connect. So let's do a trick. Let's say that I want to allow only IP, which is 192.168.12.3, and then we try to connect Telnet from this router again to see if it works or not. How to do that? We can use the access list. So here I have to say access list 1 permit only the IP, we can say here host 192.168.12.3. So only this IP is able, it's the one which it's permit. Now permit, we didn't apply it yet somewhere. We have to apply it now on the Telnet. So now what we need to do, we have to go to the line VTY 0 to 15, and I have to say access class, and then I will mention the access list that I have configured, which is 1. And then the way in, because the Telnet is coming to the router, so the way in. So what does it mean here? That means that anyone who has the IP 192.168.12.3, this is allowed to do the Telnet. Anyone else is not allowed. Router 2 has 192.168.12.2. Before, it was able to Telnet. You see, it is here, it was able to Telnet. Let's try now to see if it can Telnet. You see, connection refused by remote host. Why? Because the access list has checked that it is not the IP which is permitted. Then the Telnet said only 192.168.12.3 is allowed. Then it killed it. So what we can do now, we can change the IP on this router and make it 192.168.12.3 instead of 192.168.12.2. Let's do that. I'll go to the interface gigabit 0 over 0, no IP address, and now I'll say IP address 192.168.12.3. I said no IP address to remove the old IP, and I put this IP now in place. And now if I do Telnet again, let's check. Here we go. You see, I just now I'm allowed to do the Telnet. But this doesn't mean that the password and username are not sent in clear text. They are still sent in clear text. That's why I said to you, you better use SSH in place of Telnet. So that is all what I wanted to show you in this lab. I know that, again, the topic of Telnet people think is very easy, but yeah, I have showed you different things in the same lab, so you can understand how you can manage to do Telnet on the Cisco IOS in a better way. So I hope that this video was informative for you. If you like my way of teaching, please do not forget to put like on the video, subscribe, and click on the bell so you are notified on my new videos when they are being uploaded. Thank you very much, and till next time.